Hello guys, in today's video I'm going to be reviewing the movie called Lockdown. It's a Nigerian movie that was released in 2021 and is currently streaming on Netflix. So because I had made some previous videos that I was talking about one movie portrayals of health scenes or hospital scenes, my attention was being brought to this one to talk about it, and since it's a medical movie I might have a say concerning it, which I decided to do so against my will. But anyways, my love for you guys is strong. The movie was directed by Moses Inwang, who happens to be a celebrated director in Nigeria. He made his breakthrough when he directed the movie called The Lost Maiden that tackles some issues of female genital mutilation, and based on records the movie gathered a lot of attention and won awards, hence the hype for the movie. Let's not talk too much. Let's dive into today's video. Now before we go any further, this is a warning. If you've not watched the movie and you don't want the movie to be spoiled for you, which this video is going to do exactly that, please just stop now and go and watch the movie. Then you can come back to watch this video. However, if you have either watched the movie and you want to hear my take on the movie, or you've not watched it but you just don't mind it being spoiled, you can go ahead to watch this video. For the sake of copyright claims, I'll be using some screenshots that carry scenes I really need to discuss, so it will guide me properly without missing a lot of things. Actually, this is the second time I'm shooting this. The first one was so scattered, so I had to erase everything and shoot this again. FYI, let me give you a summary of the plot. The movie takes place in a private hospital called New Life Calvary Hospital. It's a fictitious hospital based on the movie. And what happened was that different people, due to different circumstances, come into the hospital, and eventually someone had a disease that was contagious, causing the hospital to be locked down. So when you hear lockdown, you will think it's about COVID. It's actually not. That's a plot twist that happened in the movie. It's really about Ebola virus, and here it's been named the holovirus. So the lockdown wasn't the general lockdown we all came to experience about 2 years ago. It was about the lockdown that happened in the hospital to prevent people from moving out. This is based on a true life story that happened in 2014 when a man by the name of Patrick Sawyer traveled from Liberia into Nigeria, and as at that time Liberia was having high cases of the Ebola virus. So when he came into Nigeria, he was already symptomatic. That means he was having symptoms from the airport, and he collapsed. That made him to be carried to a private hospital where he was being taken care of, and unfortunately he died, and the doctor that was taking care of him also died. Some other people were infected, and luckily for them they were able to survive. First, I love the opening shots of the movie, how we just started showing the teeth of Charles. I like Charles, he's quite funny. Charles using chewy stick to clean his mouth, and then just pan to this drone view, and everything was just, it was beautiful. The shots were beautiful, the camera, the picture just looked beautiful. I must give them kudos for that, and the audios also work. They really tried, they made it quite beautiful. No criticism of that. But then you know now. So since the shot showed Charles Owurum, let's talk about him. He happens to be the father of Josh Tufoni, who is named Sonny in the movie, and they are staying in the slums in Lagos, and the father seems to have an issue with him being lazy or not bringing money. They are struggling financially, and then this time around Sonny won a lottery, making him to get 10 million naira, which is big money till date. Despite the inflation, it's not small money. So he, in the course of rejoicing with his father, hit his hand on the ceiling fan, a running ceiling fan, and sustained injury on his left hand. I can relate to that, because I also sustained an injury to my right hand. It's not that I was celebrating for money. I think I still have the scar to show for it. So that caused him to go to the hospital. The next person is a groom and his friend who were on their way for the court wedding when they saw a lady being hit by a car, and the driver of the car actually ran away. It's a hit and run, and the groom, out of compassion, decided to carry the little girl to that same hospital that we're talking about. Then the third person is a lady that was going for a job interview, and when she reached there, she was being told by somebody that was having the interview. I don't know whether they're friends or not, but the person told her that medical exam reports were being needed. So she had to rush to the nearest hospital to get a quick medical report, causing her to go to the same hospital. The fourth person happens to be a delivery man who needed to deliver a job so that he would get his money, and the person he was delivering it to was a doctor in the hospital too. So this made him to go to the hospital. Then there's another man that has a wife. The wife was pregnant. I think she was 6 months pregnant, and then she started having some complications which made her to be carried to the hospital. Unfortunately, he's a womanizer, and when this thing happened, he was not around. So the wife was carried to the hospital without his knowledge. This made him to leave wherever he was to try to go to the hospital to meet her. So all these people converged in the hospital, and then shortly after, a man named Mr. Omar, who was from Libya, was having some symptoms. He was coughing, he was sweating, he was having a headache. When he flew into Nigeria, there was a driver that was carrying him for a meeting, but then he started having these symptoms and he couldn't bear them any longer. So he told the driver to carry him to the nearest hospital, which the driver now agreed to do so and carried him to the hospital. So this man entered the hospital shortly after all these other people had converged, and he happens to carry the whole virus, and this was what caused the lockdown to happen. So these external people came into the hospital and were locked together with those that were in the hospital. These are the staff and patients in the hospital, and nobody would get out. I caught something, I caught a mistake, and it's fun for me to share it with you. There's a drone shot that they showed the external view of the hospital. That's the New Life Calvary Hospital. But it's actually Reddington Hospital in Lekki. And the first shot actually edited the name to put the New Life Calvary Hospital. And then the second shot showed the real name of the hospital, which I'm showing on my screen now. And there was a later shot that reverted it back. It's good to catch this thing. It's fun. It shows that someone is actually attentive to details, which is fun for me. I like doing that. You're welcome. So when Sonny hits his hand, let me use their real name. When George Tufoni hit his hand, though that's not his real name, but that's the name we know him as, he's supposed to bleed way more than he was bleeding. And for an injury that serious, it shouldn't be that way. So yes, as usual, Nigerian people like going to chemists, which he did. And to me, the MVP of that movie, that entire movie, is the guy and the chemist. And that's what puts a lot of people in trouble, especially health workers. Is that you should know what is within your limits and what is beyond your limits, and do the needful. So waiting past your power, that means what's beyond you, you should refer to the appropriate authorities. Chemist people are not supposed to treat you. And there's a difference, Nigerians, you know, there's a difference between chemists and pharmacists. So many of you that go to chemists, these people are merchants. They just sell stuff for you. Please stop going to the chemist. If you happen to be a chemist guy watching this movie, you know the truth too. So go to the hospital, and that's why this guy was an MVP. Well, he said his Oga was not around, maybe if his Oga was around, he could have treated that thing, but that one, he knew it was beyond his power, and he insisted the guy goes to the hospital. That's why to me, he's the MVP of that movie. Then there's this thing we need to talk about. When Tony Umes went to deliver the package to Dr. Njoko Omotola, he went to her house, and as he was there, he met another doctor. He said that he was looking for Mrs. Njoko, and then this other doctor, wearing her scrubs and carrying a word coat, corrected him, saying it's Dr. Njoko. Please, we don't need to carry our names like that too. Okay, I can't speak for everybody, but maybe within the hospital, because the relationship is professional, yes, we address each other by our titles. But outside that, anybody that is carrying this on his head or on her head, I don't know. But that was quite off-putting. not really realistic. But what do you think? Are there doctors you know that usually would love you irrespective of where you meet them? They insist that you address them based on their titles also. Let me know. I'm not one of such. Then one of these things, there were two nurses. One nurse was on duty and she needed to go and write an exams, and she went to meet another nurse to help cover for her during the shift. Yes, we usually do that too. The ideal thing is that if you have a very important event that will make you not to be available at a particular shift, you're supposed to tell your superiors so that when developing the rosters, they can keep you from working during that time. However, some things just come up and we wouldn't be able to predict it. So most times we just cover for each other. As for paying, it happens and the person will just stay and cover for you. But most times the right thing to do is to tell your superior, and then if you're covering, if you have a capable person, you can relax. If you don't have a capable person, you're in trouble. That one is there. So yes, that one was quite realistic. She telling her to cover. But the problem is that when Chioma mentioned to the other nurse that she wasn't the one that told her to go and study medicine and she has an exams, that's weakened my body. Because med school is difficult. You can't be doing medicine and be doing nursing job. You can't. So if maybe this movie inspired some of you that are nurses to go and study medicine thinking that you'll be able to mix the two, you won't be able to do that. Med school is very demanding, especially med school in Nigeria. I don't know for other places, but med school in Nigeria is not a joke at all. So that's not realistic. You can't do that. Most times nurses run shifts, so sometimes you're in morning shift, sometimes you're in afternoon, sometimes you're in the night shift, so that will clash with your school. Then yes, there's another thing, as you can see, in Nigeria, I don't know for other places, we don't do this kind of heavy makeup. We don't. We try to be as decent as possible. So anything flamboyant, it's not really welcome in the hospital. I don't know, have you been to a hospital that you saw the health workers heavily made up like this or way more? Let me know. And how did you feel about it? Also let me know in the comment section. But this makeup, you know, do. Then the next thing I'm going to talk about is when they now made the diagnosis. Yes, you would know that they made the diagnosis, and how they made that diagnosis that quickly is not realistic. Okay, we work under this premise that common things occur commonly. So usually we start with the common illnesses and diseases, and if they happen not to be the diagnosis, we now start going into the less common stuff, and that's very logical. It saves us from a lot. So for something like this holovirus that is about the Ebola virus, how they're able to suspect and make the test that quickly doesn't make sense. You could just name any virus and make your symptoms as vague as possible. If you're making a movie that you're saying it's about the Ebola virus, then make it close to the Ebola virus. Since you don't know anything about it, you talk to health workers about it. In fact, you can go to the hospital that this thing happened to do your proper research. Hospitals will be willing to help you in this kind of thing. For the sake of the length of this video, I'm dividing it into 3 parts. So I would see you in the next video.